What's up, everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to another edition of Track Walk in MX Simulator. Today, I'm going to be playing the BPC SX facility, which was made by, I think, Dale Mullins with some help from Jack Perry. It might have been the other way around, where Jack Perry made it and then Dale Mullins just released it on the forums. I don't 100% know. I just know that Dale Mullins released it. Thank Jack Perry for help, and yeah. But it's for the BPC team, which is I don't know if it still exists. Thought that I read somewhere that Chase Blakely was gonna dissolve it or whatever. But that team had Chase Blakely and I think a couple other guys on that team this year in Sim, and they did pretty well. Chase being kind of the headliner of the team, if you will, winning a couple nationals actually on a 450, and overall having a pretty good year. So I don't know if this is the Supercross track that he used to test when it came to Supercross or what, but I'll get into a little bit about this track as I go along. Regardless, this track that I'm riding, which is just like the Supercross part of the track, is a replica of Blake Baggett's track, which is at his little house ranch thing in Florida, and he had built for him to train on in Supercross this, past year, 2017. So that's kind of cool that they were able to scrape together an actual replica into a pretty cool Supercross track for us to ride, and it's built really well. I like particularly how kind of like peaky everything is. Like these Supercross triples throw you to the moon, which personally I'm not the biggest fan of when it comes to like actually Race Factory Gaming Supercross, because it's not realistic to what happens in real life, which is most Supercross triples, like in a real Supercross race, they pitch you way more forward than they do up. And so it frustrates me a little bit when Race Factory builds the triples super peaky so you can whip the crap out of them, because it's not realistic. But I like it on this track just because it kind of breaks up the whole like mentality of just working, lap after lap to get a good time on a Supercross track. Like you can kind of pause for a second, even on this finish line jump, to throw a big old whip. So like I like that aspect of it. And then just in general, the way that the rhythm sections are built, really like it, because they're kind of, like I said, a little bit peakier. Everything feels like you kind of have to time it a little bit better. So I don't know, in general, it's something that I think makes this track really fun and playable, and kind of part of the reason why I'm deciding to show it off today. I will talk about it in a minute when I go on to it more, but there is like a Daytona extension of this track that I did not load up. Like I did, it comes on the track standard, but you can like actually play, like there's a separate folder for being able to play the Daytona extension, which is just like a little add-on to the outskirts of the track. It's there, but I think on the like extended version, all the timing gates are actually in the right spot, so you get timed for doing the complete lap. And maybe the berm that you jump off of is also something different as well. I didn't actually take a look at that, but I know that the timing gates are probably fixed, so you can get an actual time. And then there's also like a little sand track directly to my right now, which I'll go ride in a moment as well. So it's kind of cool that it's not just this little Supercross track, which in itself is a fun track, but it's also a couple other, like an extended version, almost like a different track in general, to the track that I'm riding, and then a little sand track as well to kind of have fun to like play around on. And I'll go play those in a second, but I just wanted to show off the Supercross track a little bit more first. There's also a little free ride section, free ride, freestyle, whatever you want to call it, which is just off to the right side of the track there. On the map, if you're looking to the bottom right corner, there's like kind of a dirt mound and little specks next to it. That is going to be the free ride map. I'll go ride that in a second and kind of show you what that is as well. But like I said, riding the Supercross track first. And I like how everything flows on this track, and like I said, the big triples are fun. But the whoops are built pretty well. I think that they're a little bit uneven in some spots. I'm not too sure if that's by design to kind of change things up and get things to flow a little bit differently. And then, yeah, I don't know. When I saw that Blake had built this track in real life, I kind of hoped somebody would build this track because it looked like a pretty fun track the way that it was designed. A couple things that like stick out in my mind about things that I like about this track. The raised corner before the rhythm section I just got through. I for some reason I just like raised corners in Supercross. You barely ever see it anymore, but I feel like it used to happen a lot. Like you would jump up into a plateau in a corner, turn around and come back down. Or even in 90-degree corners, little raised corners where like if you go inside it drops down into a rhythm section, or if you go outside you can step off of it into the rhythm section or something like that. It just seems like I never see that anymore in Supercross, but I feel like in the late 90s, early 2000s it happened a lot. Kind of wonder if maybe there was some sort of reason, crash-wise or other, that they had to eliminate that type of a feature from the tracks, but it'd be something I'd like to see maybe make a comeback. But that's that raised corner there just to my left that I'm talking about that I like about this track. And then like the rhythm sections just have really good flow. This first rhythm section I feel like doesn't have the most wide variety of line options because it kind of forces you to 3-3 in no matter what. You might be able to 3-4 on off, but then you only double out. And then the other rhythm section gives you two options to enter. Like I said, because of that raised corner, you can go outside and then like triple in from the outside, triple on off, quad out, or you can go inside, triple, and then quad over the table, which I'll do right now, or I'll try to do. Inside, triple, quad over the table, and then quad out. I'm coming up short though. Ugh. Might actually be able to quad into that section. I'll try to do that before I'm done riding this track as well. But like I said, I just like the idea of options. I used to be kind of like clingy to the fact that I just want to play a Supercross track for testing in this game. When I used to race, you know, every week in this game and on a pro level and stuff, that I just wanted to play a track that had a real good standard flow to it, one that I wouldn't crash on a lot and that I could practice, you know, a couple different techniques, hitting the same rhythm lines to kind of better suit my skills, which I think would work, honestly, just because most of the Supercross tracks that Feld designs and then Race Factory makes are real kind of cookie cutter stuff, and like everybody's going to be hitting the same lines anyway, so if you can figure out how to shave a tenth off or here or there by, I don't know, soaking up a jump a little bit different or just hitting the corners better, it helps. So that like working on that intensity helped, I guess, for Supercross. But I do like now playing tracks that have variety, and I feel like this track has, like I said, a pretty good variety. Let's see if I can quad in. Yeah, just barely, but kind of ruins the rest of the rhythm section. So yeah, that's the Supercross track. Actually, I'll keep riding it and then just go into the Daytona section so you guys can see that. And I'll ride the sand track for a little bit and then just quickly show off the free ride track, which there isn't a lot to it, but it's just a little added feature, I guess, regardless. So the Daytona feature of the track is roughly based on the concept that a lot of these training facilities or just general track owners use now, where they like dig a little sand section out of the side of their Supercross track somewhere and just make it possible to go into that section somehow, so that when Daytona comes around, they get the regular Supercross practice that's necessary, but they also get this like extended practice where they know how to hit sand, I guess. I guess like the real idea of it is that you get used to like the deep ruts again and having hit the track just a little bit differently than just the standard Supercross practice. So it makes a little bit of sense, but most of the time it just seems like those guys are either used to Daytona or not. You know, like you get a guy like Ricky Carmichael to race Daytona. He grew up in Florida. He knows the sand. He could probably never have done... I doubt he ever did actually have like one of those Daytona test tracks in his backyard or at his testing facility or wherever, and he still always dominated when he was like healthy and ready to go at Daytona, except 2005. But he just, you know, had that intuitive ability. Regardless of which, that's kind of what this is supposed to be mimicking, is, you know, like that little extra sand section that they add to the tracks and then it just comes back onto the track. Ooh, brutal case. Personally speaking, I don't feel like that sand section of the track is as well built as this sand track over here, so I'm only going to show off that little sand section once because, I mean, you get the gist of the Supercross track. I don't need to keep riding it, and then you also kind of saw what the sand looked like. But this sand track is really fun. Sand usually works like pretty well, not really rutted out like sand texture and stuff like that, but sand tracks work really well in sim, at least in my opinion. You know, you make a really bumpy track with a really resistant traction, and the bike's going slow enough that you can kind of react to every little bump that exists, but it still feels like you're hauling because you're hitting all these bumps really fast, and you're also revving the bike out a lot too, which, you know, who doesn't love a good rev limiter? But yeah, I've always really liked sand tracks in this game. I'm a little partisan because I've always done kind of pretty good at them. My last like real good national that I had on a 450 in this game was Southwick 2016 when I finished 4th. So I like him, and I think that this track's built pretty well. I think it could do with a little bit less of the ruts on the track, just if I'm being, you know, kind of nitpicky. But decal wise, I think it looks fine. And then just like the flow of the track is pretty good too. A couple spots that it's a little tight, but makes you kind of think about how to connect lines and whatnot. And I don't know, it's fun. I definitely like this little sand track that he added. It's a little unique extra flair to something that you think you're just going to go play a Supercross track. Instead, you get a little fun sand track to rip and rail around. I talked about it before in one of my track walks on Taup MX that I like when people add, like, I don't know if you would consider this like an Easter egg or like some just random addition to a track, but it's not like this track has timing gates, and it's not like it's part of the track, you know, initially. It just seems like one of those things that he had to kind of take the time for no real benefit of himself, because people would have downloaded the Supercross track anyway, to make this little sand track that is fun. You don't even have to load up a different track, and you get to go play another track. I think that's in part why people love these freaking compounds, just tons and tons of compounds being built in this game all the time, is because you go over like 5 feet and you play a completely different track. It's pretty cool. And it gives like a little bit of like a free ride map element to it, which was one of the coolest things about some of the like big free ride worlds in some of the original games way back when. It's like you could go ride over here, and there would be like a free ride section, go ride back over here, and there'd be a Supercross track. And, you know, I'm thinking like Motocross Madness and stuff like that. There's just miles and miles of land to explore. And this isn't the same, but you get what I'm going at, is that like it's nice to have like little additions to an already fun track somewhere and a little bit of extra on the side. It also looks like in some part is supposed to be mimicking like somebody's house or land or property, not because of the trees or because of any of that, but because there's actually a house situated over on, I can go over to before the end, but this is the freestyle free ride map. Basically just a little hump built for a landing, and then just several ramps coming in. I've talked before also in Track Walk about how crappy collisions are on these ramps, and like they work to a degree, but you can never get as corked with like your whips or as upside down with your backflips or whatever. They always just kind of hold you back a little bit. Try to actually flip one of these. Didn't get enough pop. But yeah, it's just a nice overall track. You know, you can sit up here and see everything right in front of you. You got the Supercross, you got the Daytona extension, you got the little sand freeride track. He even took the time to build it so that it looks like the trucks are, you know, digging up dirt over here. Or the tractors are digging up dirt. Just a lot of little, you know, kind of caretaking things went into building this, and I like that. I like when it's not just like they build the track and leave it. They actually take the time to make the rest of the place look nice and dandy as well, although the back of the house is missing its file somehow. Is that the side of the house too? No, the side of the house is there, but then you go around the back and it's gone. But yeah, this is BPC. I'm gonna just keep messing it up, I guess. SX facility by either Dale Mullins or Jack Perry, one of the two. But thanks to those guys for putting it together, and thanks to you guys for watching this video if you did. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as per usual, and download the track in the description below if you want to play it just like I am. But as always, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Track Walk in MX Simulator. I'll see you guys in our future ones. So long for now.